So I know for a while some people have been asking to see more of Lyra and Drogo, my Crested Gecko and my chahoua. So I thought today we would explore that. For example, this morning, Lyra has fallen asleep on her mushroom. That's quite unusual actually. She's much more of a snake plant girl, but fair enough. These mushrooms are mushroom ledges that I make on my shop. There's also this rocky one that has a food bowl hole that I also make. One thing I was going to show you, I have a banana. And sometimes if I'm having fruit, and it depends on the fruit, like I wouldn't offer banana a lot, but if I have a little bit left, I'll do this. So I'll mush it up in my hand, right? And I'll either place it around the tank somewhere or near the gecko, and I know Drogo is in here somewhere, but I'm gonna pop that up there. Now the reason I do this with like actual fruit, obviously we do still offer powdered diet to them. Tonight they're getting insects though, but what I like to do, oh, can you smell it? What I like to do is, it's a bit of enrichment really. Like if you're the kind of person who might get one of those jelly pots, which are kind of pointless, but you wanted some real fruit, something that tastes good, it's healthy, then if you ever have like a little bit left over as a bit of enrichment, you can place it around the tank. They can go up and lick it for ages. They can find it like out, like obviously Drogo can sense it because he's like hello, and then they can also eat it. Obviously you don't want to go too crazy with the fruit, but I just figured like in the wild they would be finding stuff like this. Maybe not bananas, but you know what I mean, it's part of their diet. And I know someone who keeps crested geckos, chahuas, they grow their own figs and they do the same. So this is just what I'm doing today. I'm going to do the same for Lyra here. It's just a teeny tiny bit of banana. You see her breathing's increased. I don't know if she's just going to go for it. Oh. What I do prefer to do is put it on her branch, but since she's kind of... There you go. There you go. Yeah, it's just there. It's just on your mouth. You're going to try to go after my... Oh, you're going after my hand, you see? Now, if you've ever been bitten by a crested gecko, you know that doesn't hurt. Although I'm sure there's going to be some people say, actually, it does. It really does. But it doesn't really hurt with Lyra. There you go. So I've just got a little bit of that on my finger, Lyra. Oh, that is just my finger again. Yep, well, there you go. So we'll be back in a bit later on when it's been darker a lot longer to offer them crickets. Obviously, people have an issue sometimes with even trying to get their geckos to eat insects. Now, luckily for me, Lyra has always been pretty interested. If you've seen her journey from when I first got her, she came to me as an adult, 17 grams. She was so underweight. And as you can tell, she has quite the appetite. And insects played a really important role with getting her to a healthy weight. And I even saw a thing quite a while back now on Instagram, I think it was, where someone who's a breeder raised babies on the powdered diet and insects, and one on just powdered diet. And actually making sure they get those insects really makes a difference and can sometimes prevent the, you know, sometimes you get adult crested geckos who are still the same size as a hatchling. So I do think it plays an important role. Of course, sometimes you can't keep insects or your gecko really won't eat them. So there are diets that do technically include insect like protein. But I think enrichment wise, getting them chasing after food is fantastic. So it's quite a while later and I'm giving the geckos crickets. They're having it with Revitalized D3. I have actually done a schedule before, so if you do use UV and the Earth Pro supplements, you want to understand how to use them a little bit easier, I will link that. But let's dust some crickets. I just wanted to quickly nip in here and mention this. It's a few days later and I realised I didn't quite mention it, but as I'm going to be talking about getting your geckos to eat a varied diet, sometimes people find their geckos won't eat insects, they're kind of lethargic, they're not doing much, they don't have much of an appetite, and oftentimes when I ask what you use them for heating or lighting, they say nothing. And however, what you'll notice in some places, depending on where you live, autumn, winter gets quite chilly and sometimes too cold, and actually adding in a halogen or a deep heat projector can really make a difference. Obviously, if you use any of those heat sources, use a dimming thermostat with them because you only need them to come on just a little bit, and it can be quite expensive. Thermostats aren't cheap. However, it makes a world of difference. Also, I would recommend UV. I use a Shade Dweller Arboreal. And whether you use plants or not, an LED is great for making the tank nice and bright, so it allows them to know day from night. So all of that can really, really improve their overall welfare and willingness to eat. Hi, Lyra. So I'm gonna hold a cricket. Come on. If you find it like your crested gecko doesn't really eat cricket if you throw it in, it might just be because they're quite slow hunters. So if you start off by handling it, tongue feeding it, that can help at least get their appetite to you at least hold it still. Eventually, like I can just put these, you have to wiggle it a little bit, but eventually I can just put, oh! Wow, and what a landing! Yeah, as I was saying, I can put them back in the tank and she will find them. Now I'm just going to give her about 4 today. What I don't want to do is put too many in that will end up eating her plants or getting into her background somehow. But I don't think she's going to have a problem with eating them. Sorry, she's just holding my hand at the moment. Now, what I will also do around the time I'm feeding them is also mist them down, so as well as eating, they can have a drink. But I know I need my hand back, Lyra. Okay? Wait, Lyra, I need my hand back. Another technique you can do. Oh, okay. Well, wait a minute, Lyra. I haven't done my... Oh, it's gone. Okay. What I was going to say is if you have a textured background, the cricket usually will climb up it, so you can at least place it in front of your gecko so they have something to aim for. But that was not an issue for Lyra. And the other couple, I'm just going to throw in there because she will find them. Yeah, but there you go. With Drogo, I'm going to use a tongue technique. So if you don't fancy risking your fingers getting bitten, but you still want to hold the... Oh, that splattered on me. And you still want to keep the cricket in place, that will help. As I said with Lyra, like something you might notice with these geckos is sometimes they can just stare at their food for ages and miss an opportunity. So if you're getting them used to it, I'll try to hold it in place but wiggle it around so it's intriguing for them. Whilst I am here popping crickets in for them, I was going to say, and if you're a patron of mine, you'll already know, because I've been doing some sort of like behind the scenes kind of reptile room updates, because if you didn't know, oh, sorry, that was very dusty, I'll be moving hopefully soon and we have a whole new reptile room. And so on Patreon, for all members or tiers, I'm just doing these little short stories slash very short vlogs, little updates here and there before I put them on YouTube. And one of the updates I announced is I should be getting Lyra and Drogo's upgrade tanks soon. Either before we move or just once we've moved. Once we do move, we have to set up the reptile room, obviously, before we can then do tank upgrades. But they're both getting 3x3 by 2 foot tanks, so 3 foot wide, 3 foot tall, and 2 foot deep. I know when I first moved here, I did do a whole like vlog thing of doing up the room, but most people were interested in how I even moved the animals in the first place and got the tanks moved. So I might try to vlog that a bit more when I do move house, but obviously moving house and dealing with animals is very stressful, and we're doing it over a number of days or maybe a number of weekends. We'll see how it goes. So I'll try to film here and there, but if you are interested in that, let me know. Fortunately, we don't have to travel too far. I know some people, they'll message me because they're traveling across the country, like in America, and that's very, very far, and they'll be traveling for hours or days, and it's kind of crazy. So mine's a lot simpler than that. But yeah, let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. But I hope you've enjoyed seeing Lyra and Drogo and some of the things they eat and some techniques on getting them onto insects. But of course, remember, powdered diet is also great and should be used as part of their varied diet. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys, and goodbye.